Did you know that the way you store everyday foods in your kitchen might be silently undermining your health, especially if you're over 60? It's easy to think that food is safe as long as it's not spoiled. But in reality, subtle mistakes like where you place your potatoes, how you store your bread, or where you keep that bottle of olive oil can make a world of difference. These aren't just about taste or freshness. For seniors, small storage errors can cause serious health risks, ranging from digestive distress to inflammation, weakened immunity, and even elevated blood sugar or heart issues. And because these habits are so routine, most people don't even realize the damage is happening. Take a moment to think about your kitchen. How many of your foods are sitting in the fridge, on the counter, or in the pantry, in ways that just feel normal? Maybe you've done it that way for decades. But what if those habits were actually stealing your energy, disturbing your sleep, or quietly damaging your gut? In today's video, I'll walk you through 9 everyday foods you may be storing incorrectly, mistakes that could be silently impacting your health. These aren't just theoretical dangers. We'll explore real stories of seniors who experienced noticeable health shifts after changing how they stored a few simple ingredients. From potatoes turning toxic to heart-healthy olive oil becoming harmful, we're going deep into the kitchen and shining a light on what needs to change. And as always, stick around until the end for one crucial bonus section, a set of kitchen storage tips designed specifically with seniors in mind. These are easy adjustments that can help you get the most nutrition, flavor, and safety from the foods you eat every single day. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let's uncover the silent dangers in your kitchen and how a few mindful tweaks can help you feel stronger, healthier, and more energized every single day. Food 9. Potatoes, hidden health hazard. At first glance, potatoes seem completely innocent. They're a pantry staple, a comfort food, and packed with potassium, fiber, and vitamin C when cooked properly. But for seniors, storing them the wrong way can quietly turn this beloved vegetable into a health hazard, especially if you're managing diabetes, digestive issues, or sensitivity to certain compounds. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes: refrigerating potatoes. While it might sound like a good way to keep them fresh, cold temperatures actually cause the starches in potatoes to convert into sugars. These sugars can form a chemical called acrylamide when cooked, especially during frying or roasting something that has been linked to nerve damage and may even increase cancer risk over time. Even more critically for seniors, this sugar conversion means a sharp spike in blood sugar levels, a danger zone for anyone with diabetes or insulin resistance. It's easy to overlook how a simple mashed potato side dish could be affecting your glucose numbers just because of how it was stored. Then there's another problem many people don't think twice about: storing potatoes near onions. The logic makes sense, they're both root vegetables, so why not keep them together? But here's the truth: onions and potatoes give off moisture and ethylene gas, accelerating each other's decay. The result? Faster sprouting, mold formation, and a breakdown in the nutrients you're supposed to be getting. Sprouted potatoes may contain solanine, a natural toxin that can irritate the stomach and even cause neurological symptoms if consumed in large amounts. For seniors with a slower metabolism or weakened immune systems, this small risk can quickly become more serious. Let me share a story. Helen, a 67-year-old grandmother from Ohio, used to suffer from random bouts of stomach cramps, gas, and low energy. She never suspected her potatoes. But after reading a health column, she moved her potatoes from the fridge and gave them their own spot in a dark, breathable container under the counter. Within weeks, her digestive troubles eased up. The improvement was subtle but steady, and for the first time in months, she felt like her meals were actually nourishing her, not hurting her. What you should do instead: store potatoes in a paper bag, basket, or cloth sack to let them breathe. Keep them in a cool, dark, dry place like a pantry or bottom cabinet, far from heat sources. Never store them next to onions or other produce that releases gas or moisture. It's a small change, but for many seniors it could mean less stomach pain, better blood sugar control, and longer-lasting produce. Food 8. Bread, freshness killer. Bread is another everyday item that seems harmless. But for seniors, how you store it can deeply affect both its quality and your health. Let's bust a myth. Storing bread in the fridge does not make it last longer. In fact, it does the opposite. Cold temperatures speed up the process called retrogradation, where the starch molecules in bread recrystallize. This makes the bread go stale much faster, leaving it hard, chewy, and harder to digest, especially for aging stomachs that may already struggle with certain fibers or grains. But there's another danger, one that most people don't associate with bread: mold. The refrigerator's moist environment actually promotes mold growth on bread, especially if it's not sealed well. Eating moldy bread, even if you just scrape off the mold, can lead to respiratory issues, allergic reactions, and stomach upset. And for seniors with asthma, chronic bronchitis, or immune system concerns, this is no small matter. Take Frank, for example, a 70-year-old retired teacher who noticed that every time he had toast in the morning, he ended up coughing, wheezing, or feeling bloated by midday. His doctor ruled out allergies and digestive issues, but nothing helped. One day, his daughter noticed the bread he used was kept in the fridge in a slightly open plastic bag. The solution? They switched to storing fresh bread in a bread box lined with parchment at room temperature and began freezing half the loaf only when needed. Within days, Frank's symptoms began to subside. He could enjoy his morning toast again without the sneezing, gas, or irritation. What you should do instead: keep bread in a cool, dry area, dedicated bread box, cupboard, or even the countertop. Use an airtight container to prevent moisture and pests. Freeze extra slices instead of refrigerating the entire loaf, then toast as needed. Better digestion, better breathing, and better flavor just from a change in location. Food 7. Onions, moisture menace. Onions are one of the most commonly used vegetables in the world. They're flavorful, affordable, and packed with antioxidants. But here's the trap. Many people keep them in the fridge, especially after slicing, and that's a big mistake. Cold and moist environments make onions go soft, soggy, and vulnerable to bacteria. As the outer skin breaks down, it creates a perfect breeding ground for mold and spoilage, often invisible until it's too late. But the real issue isn't just the onion. It's the impact spoiled or bacteria-ridden onions can have on your immune system and digestive tract, both of which weaken with age. Margaret, 68, had always kept her onions in the crisper drawer. She chopped them straight from the fridge, not knowing that the condensation softened the onion and allowed bacteria to seep in. Over time, she started experiencing regular bloating, nausea, and even mild food poisoning symptoms. Her doctor suspected bad leftovers until one day they discussed food storage. When Margaret switched to storing her onions in a breathable mesh bag in a dry pantry away from heat and other vegetables, the stomach issues slowly disappeared. Cooking became enjoyable again, and she didn't dread mealtime. It's not just about moisture either. Pre-cut or peeled onions are particularly risky, as they lose their nutritional value fast and become highly perishable, even if kept cold. If you don't use the whole onion, be sure to wrap it tightly and use it within 24 hours. What you should do instead: store whole onions in a cool, dry, well-ventilated space, like a hanging basket or mesh bag. Keep them far away from potatoes and garlic to prevent premature spoilage. Never refrigerate raw, whole onions. These small changes could mean fewer tummy troubles and a much stronger immune defense just from one simple tweak. Food 6. Tomatoes, flavor thief. Tomatoes are a nutritional powerhouse, rich in lycopene, vitamin C, and powerful antioxidants that support heart health, reduce inflammation, and protect your skin and eyes. But many people, especially seniors trying to preserve freshness, make a critical mistake: storing tomatoes in the refrigerator. Here's why that's a problem. Tomatoes are sensitive to cold. When exposed to low temperatures, their cell walls begin to break down, which not only changes their texture, making them mealy and mushy, but also leads to nutrient loss. Most of the beneficial enzymes, including those responsible for converting lycopene into its most absorbable form, become inactive or die off. Essentially, a cold tomato becomes an empty shell of what it could be. But beyond the science, think about the joy of biting into a juicy, flavorful tomato. That pleasure vanishes when cold storage ruins both the taste and the health benefits. George, 71, had this exact experience. He was eating tomatoes, almost daily adding them to his salads, cooking them into soups believing he was supporting his heart health. But despite his efforts, his doctor noted that his inflammation markers were still high. It turned out he had been refrigerating his tomatoes for years, unknowingly stripping them of their health-boosting power. After switching to room temperature storage on his windowsill, not only did the flavor of his meals improve, but he also started feeling more energized. His doctor later commented that his blood work showed improvements in both antioxidant levels and inflammation markers. Also important, cold tomatoes are harder to digest, especially for seniors with slower metabolisms or acid reflux. The cold compresses the natural acids, making them irritating to the stomach lining. What you should do instead: store tomatoes at room temperature, ideally in a basket or tray where air can circulate. Keep them out of direct sunlight to prevent premature ripening. Only refrigerate tomatoes that are already cut and use them within 24 hours for best nutrient retention. Restoring just one fruit to its natural temperature could mean better digestion, improved heart health, and meals that taste fresher, juicier, and far more satisfying. Food 5. Garlic. Risky storage mistake. Garlic has been used for centuries as a medicinal food. It fights inflammation, supports the immune system, lowers blood pressure, and even helps with cholesterol. But if you store it the wrong way, all those health benefits can vanish and, even worse, garlic can become dangerous. Here's the big no-no: storing garlic in oil or moist environments. While garlic oil may sound delicious for salad dressings or cooking, combining raw garlic with oil, especially when left at room temperature, creates the perfect conditions for a deadly toxin called botulinum to grow. Botulism is rare, but incredibly serious, especially for seniors. It can cause blurred vision, weakness, breathing problems, and in extreme cases, death. Sarah, age 65, learned this the hard way. She used to blend garlic with olive oil and store it in a mason jar in her cupboard. Over a few weeks, she began experiencing fatigue, headaches, and lightheadedness. A hospital visit confirmed mild botulism poisoning, traced back to that jar. Since then, Sarah keeps her garlic whole and dry in a ventilated container, only using fresh cloves as needed. Her energy returned within weeks. But even beyond the danger of botulism, improperly stored garlic loses its active compounds, like allicin, which give it its medicinal properties. Garlic stored in plastic bags or humid areas becomes moldy and soft, erasing its healing potential. What you should do instead: store garlic whole, in its skin, in a mesh bag or open container that allows airflow. Keep it in a cool, dry, dark place, never in the fridge or next to wet vegetables. Avoid homemade garlic oil unless refrigerated and used within a few days, and only if acidified properly. Garlic should be a healing food, not a hidden threat. Treat it with care, and it will repay you with powerful protection against illness, fatigue, and inflammation. Food 4. Coffee. Brewing trouble. Coffee is more than just a morning ritual. For many seniors, it's a comforting habit that brings warmth, clarity, and a much-needed energy boost. But where and how you store your coffee beans or ground can determine whether you're sipping health or harm. The worst place to store coffee? The fridge or freezer. Why? Because both environments introduce moisture, which coffee beans quickly absorb. This moisture not only dulls the flavor but creates a perfect breeding ground for mold and bacteria. Mold-contaminated coffee has been linked to digestive issues, chronic fatigue, and even low-grade infections, particularly dangerous for seniors with a slower immune response. Another issue: cold storage sucks the natural antioxidants out of coffee compounds like chlorogenic acid, that are known to support heart and brain health. So, every cup of improperly stored coffee becomes less therapeutic and more harmful. Mike, 69, had been dealing with fatigue and mild nausea every morning for months. He thought it was aging or sleep apnea, but the real culprit was his coffee beans kept in a Ziploc in his freezer. After reading an article on storage, he switched to using a ceramic, airtight jar placed in a cool, dark cabinet. Within a week, the nausea disappeared. Within a month, his energy was back, and his morning ritual became a real source of strength again. What you should do instead: store coffee in airtight containers, preferably ceramic or opaque glass. Keep it away from light, heat, and moisture in a pantry or cabinet, not the fridge or freezer. Buy smaller batches so you use them while they're still fresh and nutrient-rich. The right coffee storage can protect your gut, your energy, and even your mood. Don't let moldy beans or nutrient loss steal that from you. Food. 3. Honey. Superfood sabotage. Honey is one of nature's most precious gifts. It's packed with antibacterial, antifungal, and soothing properties, making it a favorite for boosting immunity, calming sore throats, and even aiding digestion. But despite its natural resilience, honey can quickly become less effective or even irritating if stored incorrectly. Many people, in an effort to keep it fresh, put honey in the refrigerator. But refrigeration causes honey to crystallize, a process where the sugars harden and separate, turning it gritty and thick. While crystallized honey is still safe to eat, it's harder to digest, especially for older adults whose digestive enzymes may already be declining. Seniors with acid reflux or sensitive stomachs often find that crystallized or overly thick honey can cause discomfort or bloating. Even worse, if honey is exposed to moisture or fluctuating temperatures, it can begin to ferment or grow unwanted bacteria. This not only ruins the taste, but risks disrupting gut flora, serious concern for seniors whose digestive systems are often more fragile. Let's look at Eleanor, age 73. She had used honey every morning in her tea, hoping to soothe her digestion and reduce inflammation. Yet she still faced gas, sluggishness, and occasional bloating. When her daughter checked her kitchen, they discovered the honey jar was kept in the fridge door and the lid was often left loose. This exposed the honey to condensation and bacteria. After replacing it with a new jar and keeping it in a dry, room-temperature pantry with the lid tightly sealed, Eleanor noticed improvements within a week. Her stomach settled, and her energy during the day became more stable. What you should do instead: store honey in a sealed glass jar at room temperature. Keep it in a dark, dry place, like a kitchen cabinet or pantry. Never refrigerate honey. It doesn't spoil if stored properly. With proper storage, honey retains its healing enzymes and smooth texture, becoming a reliable, nourishing staple in your senior health routine. Food 2. Bananas. Tropical tragedy. Bananas are often hailed as a senior-friendly fruit. They're soft, easy to eat, full of potassium, and help regulate blood pressure and digestion. But one wrong move in storage can make this nutritional hero lose its power fast. Many people, especially in warmer climates, instinctively store bananas in the fridge to stop them from ripening too quickly. But here's the problem: cold temperatures damage bananas at a cellular level. The peel turns black, the texture turns rubbery, and the natural enzymes and digestive fibers begin to break down. The result? A fruit that looks off-putting, feels unappealing, and offers fewer health benefits right when you need them most. Worse still, refrigerated bananas give off ethylene gas, a natural ripening agent that causes other fruits stored nearby to spoil more quickly. If you're keeping apples, pears, or berries in the same drawer, you might be unknowingly wasting perfectly good food and money. Alan, a 74-year-old former tennis coach, relied on bananas for his post-walk snack, but he always stored them in the fridge. Over time, he noticed they made him feel bloated and tired, and they weren't giving him the same energy boost as before. After a discussion with his nutritionist, he switched to buying smaller bunches of bananas and storing them on a banana hanger at room temperature, away from other fruits. The difference was immediate: less bloating, more stable energy, and a return to enjoying his favorite fruit again. What you should do instead: keep bananas at room temperature, ideally hanging to prevent bruising. Store them away from other fruits to reduce premature ripening. Only refrigerate very ripe bananas if you plan to use them in baking or smoothies within a few days. Bananas should be a daily energy source, not a bloating burden. Let them breathe and ripen naturally, and they'll return the favor with better digestion and vitality. Food 1. Olive oil. Heart, healthy hazard. Olive oil is often described as liquid gold for the heart, rich in monounsaturated fats and antioxidants that support cardiovascular health, reduce inflammation, and may even protect brain function in older adults. But olive oil is extremely sensitive to 3 things: heat, light, and air, and storing it incorrectly can strip it of its health benefits and even turn it harmful. Let's say you store your olive oil near the stove. Sounds convenient, right? But every time you cook, the heat from the burners slowly breaks down the antioxidants and healthy fats in the oil. Left exposed to sunlight or even indoor lighting, olive oil oxidizes, losing its flavor and turning rancid. Rancid oil not only tastes bitter and smells off, it can increase free radicals in your body, which promote inflammation, contribute to artery damage, and raise the risk of heart disease. Judith, a 69-year-old who was trying to lower her cholesterol, cooked daily using olive oil, but she kept her oil bottle on the windowsill in a clear glass jar. It looked beautiful, but her efforts to improve her health weren't yielding results. Her doctor still saw elevated LDL levels. Once Judith learned about the effects of light and heat on olive oil, she switched to a dark glass bottle stored in a closed cabinet and started using smaller amounts of freshly purchased oil more frequently. Within months, her blood work improved and her energy levels increased. What you should do instead: buy olive oil in dark glass bottles or stainless steel tins. Store in a cool, dark cupboard, away from the stove, windows, or direct sunlight. Always seal the cap tightly after each use to minimize air exposure. Use it within 2-3 months after opening for best quality and health benefits. Don't let this heart-healthy hero become a hidden enemy. With the right care, olive oil can truly become one of your most powerful allies in aging well. Bonus advice: kitchen storage tips for seniors. By now, it's clear that how you store food matters just as much as what food you eat, especially as you age. But don't worry, transforming your kitchen into a health-protective environment doesn't require expensive gadgets or complex systems. It just takes a few intentional habits, and trust me, these simple changes can add years to your life, reduce daily discomfort, and even help medications work better by improving your body's overall function. Here are some practical kitchen storage tips specifically designed for seniors, blending safety, nutrition, and ease of use. 1. Separate storage zones. Create clear labeled areas for different categories: root vegetables, fruits, dairy, grains, oils, and herbs. This prevents cross-contamination and reduces the chance of foods emitting gases or moisture that spoil nearby items. Use baskets or cloth bags for potatoes, onions, and garlic, and keep them well spaced in ventilated drawers or cool cupboards. Keep tropical fruits like bananas and mangoes out of the fridge and separate from fast-ripening fruits like apples or avocados. 2. Go breathable, not sealed when it makes sense. While airtight containers are great for bread, coffee, and grains, some foods like potatoes, garlic, and onions need to breathe. Store them in mesh bags, bamboo baskets, or open bins lined with paper to allow airflow and prevent mold. Never use plastic bags or sealed plastic boxes for these foods, unless they're already peeled or chopped. 3. Temperature awareness. Keep an eye on how warm your kitchen gets, especially if your stove, oven, or windows generate a lot of ambient heat. Install a small thermometer in your pantry or cabinet if needed. Oils, herbs, and spices should be kept in cabinets that don't exceed 2022-4, 68-72-4 F to preserve their healing properties. 4. Label and date everything. Use a bold marker or label maker to date items once opened, especially things like oils, sauces, canned goods, or leftovers. This helps avoid accidental use of expired food that could trigger inflammation, stomach issues, or worse. Keep older items at the front of shelves to ensure first in, first out rotation. Avoid stacking too many layers, which can hide older or moldy items. 5. Adjust storage to physical needs. As we age, it becomes harder to bend, reach, or lift heavy containers. Make your storage accessible. Use pull-out drawers, lazy Susans, or stackable bins that are easy to open and close. Keep frequently used healthy items at waist to eye level, so you're not straining your back or neck. Use lightweight, clear containers so you can easily identify contents. 6. Choose storage materials wisely. Plastic containers can leach chemicals over time, especially when exposed to heat or sunlight. Use glass jars, ceramic canisters, or stainless steel containers wherever possible. Avoid reusing single-use plastic for long-term storage. 7. Mind your spices and dried herbs. These often go overlooked but are just as sensitive to light and moisture. Many seniors use turmeric, ginger, or basil for inflammation and digestion, but if stored improperly, their potency fades quickly. Keep herbs and spices in dark jars or tins, away from the stove and sunlight. Replace them every 6-12 months for best results. Regular pantry checkups. Once a month, set aside 15 minutes to go through your pantry and fridge. Toss expired or questionable items. Wipe down shelves. Reorganize based on what's been used most. This habit not only protects your health but reduces stress and keeps your kitchen functioning smoothly. These changes might seem small, but in the long run, they help you get the maximum health benefits from every bite, reduce unnecessary digestive or allergic reactions, and empower you to feel in control of your environment. Remember, food is medicine, but only when it's stored and handled properly. Final thoughts. CTA. You don't need to be a chef or a nutritionist to protect your health in the kitchen. The truth is, every senior deserves to age with energy, comfort, and confidence, and avoiding just a few common storage mistakes can bring you one step closer to that goal. From separating your potatoes and onions, to keeping honey smooth and safe, to letting your tomatoes bask at room temperature, these simple tweaks can dramatically reduce inflammation, boost digestion, and preserve the vital nutrients your body depends on. Let's not let convenience or outdated habits steal your strength or longevity. Now it's your turn. Which of these storage mistakes were you making without realizing it? Are you inspired to reorganize your pantry, move that olive oil bottle, or hang your bananas differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You never know who you might help with your story. And if today's video opened your eyes to the hidden dangers lurking in your kitchen, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a loved one or caregiver. Because the smallest changes often lead to the biggest health victories. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay healthy, stay mindful, and keep thriving in your golden years.